Bad Playing Man here with a talk through on competitive CV play by request. We have one of our games last week between us, KSC, and KIA. KIA, great team. Reimu, one of the best CV players in the game, so hopefully this is instructing, whatever, educational. Starting out here with rockets, we do a pre-drop just to make sure we're not losing too much, and we're doing two things here, right? One, we're getting a scout. There's only 7 ships, and so whatever ships we don't see on this B side, we can assume is over on the C side, either going to the C cap itself or on the 910 line. Additionally, if we're able to make them turn out of B and we're able to get a quicker cap point, that works out. We get the spot, you see there's a Petro, try to get a quick strike for some chip damage, and hopefully they just turn out a little bit, right? Them not getting into the cap immediately, if that gives us a little bit of a point advantage, that's going to help us out long term. As you can see, Reimu, he's doing the same thing. He's using torps. He makes the Holland turn out the rest of the ships. Our Holland takes a torp, very good torp run by him. So as you can see, there's going to be a lot of back and forth CV play. Here, we can see from this fighter, we have spotting at B. They're not going to the cap just yet, so we're going to go scout C. I come over the ridge. Reimu has an awesome invisible fighter placement, so I immediately just recall so I don't lose anything. Plus, we've gotten the spot of the Ohio. Our Petro radars, he sees the Marceau in the cap, so I'm going to go try to mess with him a little bit. We also see Reimu coming with his AP dive bombers, going to try to get a hit on Ohio or Petro. So the first part of this game, I don't do a whole lot. I'm pretty conservative with our planes. KA is a great team, so they're not going to really have any ships by themselves. I could have done a talk through or talk over of a game where I, do 180, 200,000 damage. I don't think that would be as instructable. So I come around the edge. I'm using the island to occlude myself a little bit from A. More importantly, I'm trying to line up with the Marceau. Now, a lot of DDs are pretty easy to torp. Marceau, not so much. There's not enough space for me to drop the torps, but I'm also trying to get that Marceau to back up from island cover so they can get some hits, potentially reset. Not able to do it. So at this point, they have the C cap. We're about to get the A cap, more or less even on points. They stayed out of the B cap. I think, I don't know. I haven't listened to their game, but that I turned them out, and they know it's gonna be hard for them to cap with this Petro's spotting range, especially if I go back over there. So once again, I'm coming over here with torps to harass the DD, and I want to know whether he's turning south like this, or if he was going up the 910 line. Probably not going up 910, but it's still good to know. I get off some okay-ish torps, but more importantly, I spot the Petro, I see the invisible fighters, do an immediate recall, right? So, right now, game is still even, we're 3 minutes in. I have jack shit for damage. That's okay. I'm still doing pretty good in plane reserves. I haven't touched my AP bombs, and now I'm going to go try to get the reset on the Petro. I don't make it in time. I spent too much time with the Marceau. That's my fault. I don't recall whether the call was made late or I was my mistake, but they are going to get the B cap, so they are going to be up on us with points. But right now, I'm also going to see where the Petros are going, right? Are they going up the 3-4 line? Are they going on the outside of that island and going up the 2-3 line? So that we need to find out. Also trying to do a little bit of intercept with Reimu's rocket planes and protect the Holland, because while the rocket planes won't do a whole lot of damage against the Holland, they will spot them. I'm going down pretty far south. I'm not seeing the Petros. Finally, we see them. They're still in a kiting position, right? So that's important information, because how we adapt if they're pushing up versus kiting are two different things. I'm just trying to get some more ship damage here. 2 Petros, especially with Sector AA. If people know how to use it, it's hard to get through. So once again, not a whole lot of damage. We'll get there. We'll get to the kills. But what we're doing is we're keeping them off, and we're buying our team time. Right? At this point, our team, we're down 2 caps. They're slowly taking away in points. If nothing happens, they point out in 6 minutes. So we start to slowly make the push on C. A lot of times, you'll see teams panic once they get down points. You just got to stay calm. You got to work through your plan, right? So right now, we decide we're capping C. Maybe put a little bit of pressure on B. We get the spot on the Marceau, or maybe the Venezia does. And our Petro is kind of by himself, right? So we're dropping those fighters, just try to keep Reimu away. You see the Ohio here. He's a nice lonely target, so we're looking at striking him. You also get the spot on the Richthofen, right? Knowing where the CV is important because that's going to dictate what side he's able to strike easier versus how much time it takes to get to the other side. I also get a spot in the Marceau. That was my secondary objective, just to know where he's at. Knowing that he's over there, it's going to be easiest for us to cap C. We also see that these Petros are a little bit spread out. And as C is our focus, I've already aligned my CV over to the east. We're going for the Petro strike, but there's fighters. I want the fighters to lock onto me, and I bring them into our team's AA. The spotting on the Petro, we make a decent hit against Ryan and Joe, and then we're going in here for the strike. Pop the heal. Ideally, probably would have been with a 6, but I wasn't really sure what I was running into. Takes another big hit, and we go in for the drop. RNG gives us a decent hit, 2 citadels and a pen, and now he's low, right? So the fact that I was able to come with 9 planes, you know, you're risking losing more, but especially if it's a lower health target, it gives me the opportunity to go in for a potential finishing kill. We get off 2 bombs, RNG's on our side. Now we're up a ship, we're up about 40k HP. And what this allows us to do, right, because they shifted the Marceau out west, now the only thing protecting C outside of the CV potentially is the Ohio and the Petro. We're just going to keep slowly backing up. At this point, it would be faster potentially if our Petros and Ohio turn around, right? However, we don't want them showing broadside to that Ohio with those big, quick firing guns. So the biggest thing in this game, we remain patient. We made some good strikes, and we get lucky, which you'll see later on. This Ohio was by himself. He's our target, and he's the biggest thing here is, right, that if I go for the Petro, he can dodge. Not a whole lot to punish him. This Ohio, if he chooses to wildly maneuver, he's going to go broadside. Unfortunately, he has some spicy AA, hasn't really been burned out yet, but we still managed to get off this drop. RNG not on our side, we dropped too late. I started the run too early, and because of that we get 3 pens, which is still not horrible damage, but it isn't a triple sit, like you've seen in my last highlight video. Right here we're doing 2 things. We're trying to get the fighter just to lock onto us to get rid of them. We're trying to get that last minute drop. So we're able to get the drop, we get 2 bombs off, and we do get a sit, right? So we're losing some more planes, but this is the priority target. If we get this target out, he's not going to be able to reset us at cap, and it's going to be a big point swing. Additionally, we're putting our CV out further east. We see the push from the Petros and the Marceau coming up the 4 line. Our ships just have to hold them off as long as possible while we get this C cap and get these ships. So you see I don't have a whole lot of AP dive bombers left. I'll be able to make another run after this if I so choose. But the biggest thing is just getting this guy out. He has a fighter. So be it. We need to get this guy out. Sometimes securing damage and kills is more important. But it has been about 60 seconds. It comes back. We speed boost through most of his flak. Do a nice high drop. And we get 2 sits and another pen. So that knocks him off lower. And we know we just got to get this target out, right? Given that they've stopped their push below A cap, and there's really not a whole lot to spot me, I immediately start moving my CV down. Typically, I'm more aggressive with my CV positioning if we're playing against an OK team. A team like KIA and Reimu and Judge in the Battleship, I'm going to be a little bit more conservative, so I'm able to make it count late game. So right now, we're doing a lot better on damage, right? 9 minutes in, we got a kill, we got damage, we're doing okay. Here, we see the fighters. I maneuver too much on this, I don't get the best drop, but at this point, any damage helps because we don't want him to get off the heal. A lot of teams are running Ohio's just because they have that super quick heal, but I also know with the fighters, I can speed boost through. I get an extra speed boost coming out of the drop, and I'm able to get a follow-up drop on Finn. So even though the fighters are locking on me the entire time, it doesn't really bother me. And our X and our Petro is able to get the kill secure on the Ohio. So now we have a choice, right? There's Venezia chasing down the Petro, or we have these 2 Petros over here. It's about 50-50 on what you should do. I try to go over here because this other Petro is low. Alright, so I know I'm going to lose planes, but with my speed or my heal, I should be able to get off a solid drop on this Petro. And if I can get 2 Citadels on this low Petro, he's out. Now, unfortunately, RNG says no. Drop is lined up. I have a good drop height, but instead I get three pens. Now, I still get him down to about 5k, which helps out later on, but it would have much better had I killed him. That being said, it takes off a little pressure off A, even though they've capped it. And at this point, we have the Venezia chasing down the Petro at I-10. At this point, Quick and the Venezia is telling me like, hey, he's getting saturated. I can't do a whole lot against this guy, so I'm going to help. Not only that, he's gone to the corner of the map, so he can't maneuver as much, and he doesn't have any friends. And so right now, we're down points, right? They're going to point out in less than a minute and a half, and I need to get torps off on this guy, hopefully a flood, so I can help take him out, and then we can shift everything to AB. Not only that, it's up to me and the Venezia to kill this guy. The rest of our ships are shifting towards A. He's sailing straight. We're going to put that there so he can't turn into the torps. He has to turn into the border and hopefully give Quick a little bit more broadside. Luckily the torps are fast, so we still get a hit. The Venezia gets a little bit more superstructure damage. We just got to force the strike home no matter how many planes we lose. We're able to get off the 2 torps. RNG torp is on our side, and the Venezia gets a few more hits, and we do manage to get that kill secure. So what that does, it buys us time, right? Takes away a little bit some of their points. We get a little bit more points, but we're still in a lot of trouble right now. So we're going here. We might need some more AP rockets later. Plane reserves are starting to run low, but we need to get this Petro out. Luckily, there's this little gap in the island that we're able to do, and I'm also positioning my CV closer to the fight so I can get off quicker strikes. Had this guy blended a little bit more forward, it would have been helpful. Even though the island pushes us up, we get off the strike. We don't need a whole lot of hits in that situation, so we can deal with the island, but it's always a gamble when you have planes going over an island. Just in case somehow the points match up, I'm going to B to cap it. Probably should have done that a bit sooner, because it's not going to make a difference. Now, going with some torps. I believe they call T damage controlled, trying to get a flood. Yoshi and our Stalingrad dies, and so at this point, they are 50 points away. This guy's on fire, hopefully get a flood, and we're just trying to get it through. Not only that, we have to take into consideration the Richthofen is very close, so he's going to be dropping lots of fighters on this guy. At this point, his A is relatively burned out, it's not hurting too much, we get some more fires on him, and we manage to get off the drop. Coming back, I'm worried that he's still going to be alive, so I'm going with AP bombs. We get the torps, we get the flood, and either my flood or my fire is going to kill him. Even so, we're still losing at this point. Our Petro Blitz is down to 4.5k. Even though he doesn't have a lot of planes left, Reimu is a very dangerous CV. Right now, we have to get the spot on the Marceau. Even if we cap this, we're still going to lose with how few points. The Marceau opens fire to try to get the reset, which works out in our favor. We get some good shots on him. Given that we now know where he is, and he's going to be spotted for 20 seconds at least with the firing, I go in with torps to get the spot once he goes down and potentially get a torp off on him. Reimu's coming with the AP dive bombers on Blitz. Luckily, very luckily, he only gets a pen, he doesn't get a sit. All RNG based. He sent me the replay from his point of view. Realistically, he should have gotten the sit. We should have lost this game. So Blitz barely survives. This Marceau goes dark. I'm coming in with the spot, and I'm going with the torps. So even if RX doesn't get that shot, I'll drop the torps behind him. Not really worried about hitting him, but just making sure he stays spotted and in a straight line. So as you can see, Fanning says the RNG, Jesus Christ, 100% RNG. Blitz probably should have died, but ultimately we kept it a close game and we ended up pulling it out. So you just have to put yourself in position to win. Hopefully this was educational, not instructional, on what you need to do as a CV to win, and let me know if you have any questions.